need to try to get those numbers, but
All right.
yeah, otherwise I get stuck. Cause you know what I mean, we gotta start. We need to go over that too.
If the phone's gonna stay. There's cool. What's up, you guys? So we're gonna do a quick little interview for Jason's school project. That is basically an interview to help him. What was it about? You can tell what it was about.
All right, so basically it's just an interview about why and how Drew got into this business and like what his motivations are, basically like that, and stuff like that. A little background story about him and questions along those lines.
Things like that. So basically it's an interview about what he wants to do and how I can help him do that, just so you can kind of achieve your goals in life and things like that. So pretty cool. Thought I would share it with everybody since we have some time to do so. So pretty cool. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah.
All right, so can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
No working?
Your factory harness wiring is no good. So it works, but whenever I jiggle the harness,
It'll turn off.
on. Yeah. If you want to take a look at it, Yeah.
We can solve it tomorrow, Bill. It's fine.
But it's kind of hard to trace the
issue.
things. Yeah. It works now because I try to whenever it works spot, I just tighten with the harness things. But
and
still,
one spot.
yeah, because once you're driving, it's vibrating, right? And then vibrating, it probably on and off, on and off, on and off, things like that. Yeah, it might gonna happen.
So how do I fix it? New harness?
Otherwise, I have to.
Can I splice from the working headlight to that one?
Ooh, that's not good. Too much
No.
wattage to the one side, yeah. But I could probably find out tomorrow, see with any weaker spot in the rewiring or something. Yeah, so
Tomorrow's
see
fine.
if that works better or
Do you want
not.
to store the car or do you want me to move it over?
Actually, I need to. That's for sure that the other guy comes in for
Tomorrow in the morning, yeah.
Yeah, and then I need the spring too.
He has them.
Oh, he has
bought
one.
them already,
His
yeah.
own. Okay. Yeah, I like to put one here better.
Yeah, I'll store it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take it down.
Yeah,
I'll get it right now.
Okay.
Thank you, Bill. What up, y'all? Okay.
All right. So can you tell me a bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today?
Okay, so like anybody else, I wasn't really trying to become into the car game. I really didn't care. When I was 18, 16, all that other stuff, I was worried about football, watching the Packers play, and pretty much I was just all about sports and all that other stuff. Once I realized after high school that I wasn't going to be in the NFL, life hit. I guess you could say that. So when I realized that I was not going to make it big, I didn't have all the talent, I wasn't built for it and all that other stuff, I just had to change my ways. And so when I was 18, I took a year off because I was working at Little Caesars, and I thought that I would just take a year off school. And then after a year went by, I felt lost. I didn't know. I was confused because I thought you're always supposed to go to school and then you're supposed to go to work. But it's like, how you're supposed to go to school and go to work when you don't make enough money to live. And then, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So it was just, it was a wake-up call. So I figured, I just had to figure out a way out. And pretty much figuring out a way out is pretty much this.
All right, so with that being said, like that's basically how you said you got into this business. Why did you choose like this route? I guess you could say like why this type of route. If you think you could have gone maybe a different way, or
when I got my first car, I treated cars like anything else. I was just driving them. I really didn't care. I didn't care what kind of car I was in. I just put gas in it, so I didn't really care for the hype of them, or I didn't know you can do anything to a car to make it faster. I really didn't. I was just so unknown about cars and stuff. Like I said, I was just all about football. But once I got into my first car and it had an exhaust and I heard the noise, and then I got a first stick shift car and I was having fun fixing it up, I was like, if I could have this much fun fixing up my car and help people fix up theirs and be involved in them, where I can help get them the parts at, cheaper prices and all that other stuff to help people, I could turn that into a business and not only do what I love to do every day, it won't even be work. It'll kind of just be what I already love to do. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it made life pretty much easy.
Okay, so like with that being said, obviously starting off more at a younger age, how long have you been like in this business world so far, and what things would you recommend to like a young entrepreneur who's starting out fresh or starting out basically how you did at a young age?
So when I started, I was 18 years old, out of high school, just trying to like make it like anybody else. By the time I was 19, I had enrolled in school, community colleges, and I did football one more try. I got a broken rib, snapped my foot. It was over. So I went for it all. Then after, the best advice I could give to you is like when I thought about it, I really thought like, hey, I can make this business out of nothing. But all my friends, my closest friends, and at least at that time and stuff like that, were telling me, no, you're crazy, or it doesn't sound good, or nobody's going to believe in you, you know, things like that. So it kind of delayed the process because I didn't have enough confidence in myself to kind of continue to push through. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that put me down because obviously when you ask, let's say you ask your brother, you ask your mom about this idea or what you think about doing, a lot of their opinion has to do with how you feel about it. So I really just, you know, a lot of that put me back. Like my mom told me, you know, you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to be this, and you have all these standards to society you're supposed to be rather than how you feel like you want to be. You know what I mean? So the best I could say is like when you have an idea, let's say like you were talking about your shirts and stuff like that, you want to do so. The beginning is always going to be the hardest because you're going to have to give people a reason why they have to give you your money or what serves purpose or why the hell they would want to rock it like Champion. Like they were dead for years and then they make a comeback, somebody wears them, all the stars wear them, and then boom, it's hot. Now it's expensive again. So and every type of thing like that, you have to push through and you have to create that purpose. Kind of like with the shop, you know what I mean? Like when I thought about the idea, I had to give people a reason to, you know, shop with me or get a part from me. Like I don't do anything special more than the next guy, you know what I mean? But I like to provide that service, that type of environment, that race field, the shop look, and it's finally coming around where you can see what I was envisioning even 3-4 years back, but to see it now. But you know what I'm saying? So things like that. So if you're a person trying to like make your own business and stuff like that, I would continue to just focus on yourself, see the bigger picture, because I was seeing my own picture 3-4 years ago that I'm seeing now, that you guys are now seeing now. You know what I mean? But I already envisioned this same setup 4 years back. But it was hard to explain that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why I push so hard when you say dreams to reality. Like that was literally my dream that you guys get to see like my reality now. You know what I'm saying? So you get to see you get to see that and things like that, you know? So.
All right. Yeah. With that being said, like you're bringing up how like all the skills and stuff and like your background, I guess, and like the sort of a respect that you would get and build relationships and trust with your customers, obviously. How do you think you got all that background and skills necessary to run this type of business?
To get like the trust of people?
Yeah, with customers, within all that stuff.
I guess it's like when you can tell somebody like, because you know a handshake and when you say something to somebody, you mean it, and I like to put meaning behind my words. So if I say something, I want to be able to promise that. Like a lot of times, you know, I hated some deals. Well, obviously I was learning, I couldn't come through with it or whatever things like that. I just wanted to make sure that what I was vouching for, like my word was good, and my word is all that mattered. And I wanted to make that clear to people that like when I say I can come through with you, I want to promise you that I don't want to play any hassles, I don't want to play any games. I want you to know that you can trust me, that I will get that for you to do so. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of that has to do with trust, and people, you build that as long as it goes on, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So where do you or actually how has technology, do you think, because obviously this world is growing technologically every single day, so how do you think that how has technology such as computers and the internet, you know, social media, stuff like that, impacted on how you conduct your business today?
Well, it made life a lot easier, because when you have the free internet, you have access to the whole world, and you don't really know who you're reaching to, who's really watching, or who's doing so and so. So it made life easier to be able to contact thousands of people as opposed to word of mouth. So now word of mouth, obviously you have to just imagine yourself driving by here, that, you know, you would have to just drive by here and tell a friend, kind of how it was back in the day. Now you don't have to go to a payphone, you have the whole world literally in your pocket. You know what I mean? So when you take advantage of that stuff like I do, like I post on every type of social media avenue I have. You know, you're talking Snapchat, you're talking Facebook, you're talking Instagram, you're talking Twitter, you're talking YouTube, you're talking on every type of platform you can get to. That makes life so much easier because you have your own customer base just on every type of one of those.
Okay, so sure, basically you said it yourself. I mean, the world's literally in your hands with the phone. Where do you see your business in the next couple of years?
Now, what would be cool is to almost franchise the business. If I could have maybe 4 or 5 different locations, kind of the same way you look at AutoZone, you look at O'Reilly's. Now, when you go to those places, you want to have, you're looking for that stock part, or you're looking for that, that type of part. But if I could provide 4 or 5 different locations like that around the world to service the type of shit that we're into, your rims, your exhaust, you're into everywhere all over the place, I could be the O'Reilly's and AutoZone and stuff of that type of world. You know what I'm saying? So if I could build that, man, it'd be crazy. And that's all I would need. That's where I see myself going in the next couple of years.
All right. Yeah, it's good goals. So can you tell me like what a normal day or even week for you, what it looks like? I mean, behind the scenes, obviously they don't see what really happens or goes on down in the shop.
So in the mornings, a lot of prep, a lot of putting parts away, catching up on people's orders, labeling parts and items. And every time you see the shop, it's always displayed a little bit different. So my brain is always storming. Clay's brain's always going off. We're always trying to make the shop look different. So that way we don't become stagnant. So when you come here, you don't always see the same this on the wall. You don't always see that. And then that becomes boring. We like to always have that wow factor here that you can see different things. So, and every day is just typically how are we going to change it? And because you got to imagine, like, we're here every day, 11 to 7, 6 days a week. The same 4 walls are only going to become dull to you over and over. Now, it's exciting when you just come visit and stuff because you're wowed by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for us, literally, like, we basically live here more than we live at home. You know what I mean? Because I'm here more of the time. So this is literally my second house. So this is our second house. Like, this is, you know what I'm saying? So we always try to create that wow. We try to keep that good feature that always surprises us and keeps us excited about coming here every day. Things like that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, like, I like how you put that in what you're saying and how you basically live here more than you do at your house. I mean, so, like, how would you describe, like, is it tougher for you, like, with your work ethic, or how would you describe your work ethic, and, like, what's the hardest thing about this job?
I mean, the hardest thing about it, I would say sometimes is when your self-motivation has to be really, really high, because once you get, like, let's say most people, like, there's certain days where I catch myself not putting as much effort into it, and I regret myself later. So there'll be days where it goes by where I don't post as much, or I don't, answer people, or I just become off, or I don't, I'm not excited about it, or I lose the actual passion for it. Then those days, it's hard to keep that self-motivation up, because when you're an entrepreneur and trying to do all this stuff, like, self-motivation, you're the only one telling yourself, like, hey, you got to go. You know what I mean? But when you post the same things, rims and tires, just bucket seats, this and that, you kind of tire yourself out. So you got to switch that up mentally and look at new things and try, you know what I'm saying? And keep always refreshing that stuff. So your biggest battle is just keeping that focus on what you're here to do,
Yeah. Okay, so, like, with that being said, how do you keep yourself organized with that? Like, or how do you keep staying on top of things? I'm not just talking about mentally, but I'm just talking about, like, around the shop too as well, like, just everything overall in general.
So I like to have a balance. So I know that I'm never off. My phone rings countlessly. It'll always ring. I'm always working. I always answer the best I can. But mentally, I have to check myself out too. Around 11 or 12 o'clock, I like to turn my phone off, or at least the audio off, because it just goes off over and over again. And I just organize. I work until about 10:30, 11 o'clock. Then by then I'm watching football, or I'm taking my mind off cars for a little bit, so that way when I wake up in the morning, I'm refreshed to do so again. Because when you do it every day, 24/7, that same excitement's not the same as it's supposed to if you're waking up every day. You know what I mean, doing that stuff. So I like to work in the mornings and then until 10, close it off, and then watch some UFC or watch something else that has nothing to do with cars, just so I can wake up in the morning refreshed to do it all over again.
So you still have the same passion for it. I get you. So have you ever had a challenge or conflict you faced at work, and how have you dealt with it? Can you
as like an unhappy customer or something?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Okay,
or
so
maybe
like
something like that.
So we had an event where a customer had ordered a part specifically, and we like to ask for part numbers and things like that when you go to order something, because we like to know what you're talking about, and we like to know what you're talking about, versus let's just say order something. We had a customer send us a picture of a set of rims that he saw on the internet. Now, the ad is the thing that was listed wrong, and the picture is the one that tricked them. So the picture shows of a bigger lip, and we go and order that same specs, but when it comes in, it has a smaller lip. Well, that picture was just designed of what they offer. It wasn't what you were ordering. Okay. And that took over 2 weeks to get, and the customer was pretty pissed off at us when we went off what the internet showed. And instead of being mad at the marketers of the actual wheel company who put the ad out there that says, hey, this rim looks exactly like that, even though we told them that settings does not match what you're asking for, they still went through with it, and they were pretty pissed off at us. Which, you know what I'm saying? You can advise anybody as much as you want, but when that came down to that, they were still pretty mad at us that, you know, and it had not, and we didn't post the ad up there. It was literally off that company's website that they screenshotted, and it was a company basically lying about what you're really buying. But it just turned into a whole
Yeah, I got you. All right, so what is your greatest professional achievement?
Probably this. This would probably be the biggest thing that I could be most proud about, to be able to do so. Because you gotta imagine, like 4 or 5 years ago, like, you know, working at McDonald's and stuff like that, I had $100 and $20, and I was riding around in a car with fake insurance. You know what I mean? My aunt used to make fake insurance back in the day, and that's how I got by. I remember get pulled over. I gave it to a cop once. I was sweating. I was worried. I didn't have money like that, you know? So putting that money forward and making that much effort into me and stuff like that, and changing my life around and having this stuff is kind of what, you know, kind of makes me really proud of myself and stuff, you know?
It's good. All right, so the best question, which I'm pretty sure I already know the answer. Do you love your job?
I wouldn't label it as a job, but it's just, I love what I do, and it's not work. You know what I mean? Like, I love to do it, so it's not really working for me. It's just doing and being involved in other people's cars. What are they doing? Advising them on this and that. Because throughout the years, I was learning a bunch of stuff. Now imagine, like, in my position, if you had a Volkswagen, if you had a Honda, if you had an Acura, if you had an Evo, if you had this and that, you're going to have all these questions to ask me about a certain part. And I'm supposed to have the knowledge to be able to advise you in what you're talking about. Because if I don't know what I'm talking about, you're kind of not going to want to be confident to be able to buy that with me. Makes sense? Versus the guy who does know what he's talking about versus the guy who doesn't. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of that, I still learn every day. You know what I mean? Customers teach me stuff every day. They help me every day. I ask them, what do you want? What do you want? This and that. What does that do? Like, I never heard of that. I still learn every single day when people buy something or when they teach me about it. You know what I mean? So I'm always opening to learning. I don't ever assume that I know that. I always ask people, I don't know. Teach me, show me. Like, that's really cool. I'll learn with you. So the next 3 people, I can tell them the same way, you know? So it's pretty cool. I learn some stuff every single day.
All right. So if you could go back and do it over again, would you? Why not?
Now, I definitely would, but I would have started a long time ago. Kind of when I was 16, 17, instead of 19, 20. If I could have that 2 years back, dude, if I had those 2 years back at the same type of mentality I'm at now, I'd be 2 years ahead of where I'm at 2 years behind. You know what I'm saying? So if I could go back and change my mentality 2 years back, even with knowing what I know now, dude, I would be way more far advanced. You know, but it's all, you're taught what you're taught at a certain pace, and I believe you go through what you go through on a specific time for a specific reason. Yeah. And it's, I guess everything teaches you a lesson separately each and every time, you know. So
yeah, I got you. So what do you like to do in your time off?
Man, you know, to be honest with you, if I'm not here, I really don't know what to do. So this is kind of all I know. I've wrapped my whole life around this stuff. So when I leave after 7, I'm like anybody else. Like, where are we going to go eat? Where are we going to go get a drink or something? Or am I going to just watch TV until tomorrow? You know what I mean? I really don't know. Like, I like to think about work and stuff like that, but sometimes I like to switch my mentality to be off because I don't want to, you know what I mean, overwork it. But I put a lot of my effort into it. So when I'm my free time stuff, I kind of just, you know, I catch up on work. I play video games, you know, I bullshit here sometimes when I got to take a break and stuff like that. But, you know, I really don't know what to do with free time. My free time is just working. So I guess I put more work in.
Yeah. All right. So what is your lifelong dream? Which you already said, basically just to franchise into different locations, right? So who is your greatest inspiration, would you think?
I have 2. I wouldn't want to put first one and another, but my mom, for one, because, man, she is a hard working woman. My mom taught us a lot of tough love. So she wasn't one for thinking about hugs and kisses and none of that stuff. She told you she cared about you and providing a roof over your head and providing food on the table and providing those certain things that you need other than saying, hey, I love you. You know what I'm saying? So, my mom really didn't grow up like, you know what I mean? I love my mom, and then she beat cancer. She's going through all that shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we got to find out, we don't know if it came back, and she's going through some stuff, but she don't ever lose the willingness to give up. She's still there every day at work. She's still grinding it out. She still goes, you know what I'm saying? So, my mom taught me a lot of work ethic. When I was growing up, and my dad went down from a back injury, my mom had 3 jobs at one point to keep all of it in line. We almost lost our house. We almost lost everything. I mean, I was growing up on beans and mayonnaise, bro. Like, it was beans and mayonnaise for dinner. It was rice and beans, and it taught me a lot of character. So it taught me to appreciate all the small things. You know what I mean? Like, all that stuff. And then watching my mom go through that, and then my dad used to be the breadwinner. My mom was the one that always worked. Then they switched, and then my dad couldn't work, so my dad became holding the house down, getting sure that we all got to school and things like that when my mom went to work. So it was cool to see them work as a partnership and to appreciate that. And then my buddy Clay, of course, you know, Clay, man, he kind of like blew this whole thing up. And he kind of showed me a lot. You fixed it?
Rewired it. Bumper
Good?
solid. Ticket.
Okay, I'll be there right now. Let me finish this.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll be there right now.
Okay,
Thanks, Bill.
okay.
So Clay was probably one of the biggest jumps I had in meeting anybody, because he's been in the game for well over 20 years and teaching me a lot of stuff I know and carrying myself as I go on from there. And it's pretty cool because he was able to open those doors for me and help me see the light a lot easier, as opposed to, you know, before. And in this game, when I was going around asking other businesses, other people, they were just quick to say no and shut the door because, you know, it's their business. They don't want another person taking any part of their business. You know what I'm saying? So
I got you.
it's pretty much hard.
Okay, so what are the positives and negatives, would you say, about this job? And are you content with where you stand today?
If the way that the shop were to stay today alone, I'd probably be happy with it, but I'm not a settler. I like to like get more, you know, so I'm happy with it. Don't get me wrong, you know, driving the Type R and having the car, you can fix it whatever you want. Like, I get it, like, it's great and all, but there's higher levels that I want, you know what I mean? Like, I want a big ass house. I want to own properties. I want to have investments. I want to have assets. I want to have all of that shit that I own for when the next 30 years, by the time I'm 30 and 40, living a whole nother life as opposed to when I'm 20. You know what I'm saying? So I just have those type of mindsets where my goal by the time I'm 30 is to have all those assets in line and have the business built by somewhere, kind of like what I talk about when I have 4 or 5 different locations in a franchise way. You know, and you know what would be cool is if I were to, okay, think about this. Like, if I were to get somebody famous to be behind our shop and invest in us and say they shop with us and then pop up 10 stores out of nowhere and they're behind it, it would blow up like that because they have people like that. You know what I'm saying? So if I get like a famous drifter, or I get I get some guy who builds race cars really fast and he's part of the shop now and he has that publicity, kind of like Gas Monkey Garage or some idea.
Yeah.
If you add that to what we have set up now 4 or 5 times out, it would just blow up so quick. But since, you know, we're nobodies to people, some people around the world and stuff like that, certain people don't like to shop with us because, you know what I'm saying, like they have the trust, or they don't like to shop, or they have to have it some certain way. But if you can, you know, build that type of foundation like we're doing now in the next 2 or 3 years, bro, like there's no endless amounts of where it'll be, you know. The negative part of this whole business is waiting, because it takes time to do that. So it's just all about time, pretty much, to wait.
So if you had one thing to recommend to someone young like me, or anyone else really who's trying to get into this career, what advice would that be?
Like I tell people, I like to tell, like, you have to really build a foundation. So what I did is I went a day at the park, and I tell a few people this. I went a day at the park. I got a notebook and a pen, and I told myself, where do I see myself in 5 years? It was crazy is that every day in high school they ask you the same thing. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And in high school, I used to take journal classes, and you know, I used to still save all my journals and shit. You know, I just love writing my thoughts at that time. And 5 years ago, I thought I was going to be in the NFL, living the whole other type of life. So obviously, what I was writing then doesn't add up to what I was really going to be. But I wrote to myself, where did I want to be in the next 5 years, and how was I going to get there? So I built a foundation. So I knew I wanted a shop. Okay, but what kind of shop do you want, and what kind of service do you want to provide, and how are you going to provide that service for those people, and how are you going to make that? So once I got all those 4 questions answered to myself, I knew I can go out to ask somebody, and so I go get it, figure out where the stuff's coming from, and then obviously the next part is the biggest thing is money. You need to have some money.
Yeah.
So save up some money, and you can totally do it too.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that wraps up everything. How was I as an interviewer?
Obviously, it was good once you break the shell of being nervous. You know, and a lot of that comes with time because like I told you, I was like a turtle, bro. Like I was like in my shell and I was nervous and stuff like that. But once you build that confidence and you can have that radiate off you and feel that confidence and know exactly, I know what I'm talking about. I feel good about what I'm saying and I know I do a good job. You break that shell up, you can become a hell of a bigger person, a way bigger, you know, more confident talker and stuff like that. And you'll see a lot more things start lining up for you the more you're more open like that. And the more positivity you rain off yourself, the more you attract. You know what I'm saying? So the more you can do that and work on those small things, which is going to come in time, the more easy you see opportunities will line itself up for you. You know what I mean? 1, 2, 3. Just like it is now, you never know what can lead in tomorrow, or the advice you take today, you don't know what's going to influence you tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. So it's pretty cool.
All right. Yeah. Well, that wraps it up.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for watching. We did the thing. It's 7:30. It's time to go eat. Time to close up shop and get the S2K in the back. So thank you guys for watching. Again, if you guys have questions, if you guys want to do the same thing too, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you guys and go on from there. So you guys have a good day. All right. Good night, actually, because it's already over.